Bob. Today we're going to discuss how Stormfront fits into the Dresden Files universe. Let's explore with spoilers. The Dresden Files book series by Jim Butcher is the king of urban fantasy. These books have been being published since 2000, which means essentially that these books have been around longer than some of you, and it's still going. Unlike you, if you don't like this video and subscribe to the channel. That's a joke. Please don't hurt me. With a few exceptions, which we'll talk about when we get to them, spoiler, the story is predominantly told across 3 layers, with each book contributing to each layer. And I'm sure that there's an actual term for this in writing, but I'm too dumb to know what it is, and Google didn't know either when I asked it once. But how it works is essentially pushing 3 plot lines forward throughout any given book. The 3 plot lines that are always at work here are the episodic plot, which is the plot of that book. The case, the problem, the monster being defeated, all of that in which takes place in the book that has a beginning, middle, and an end. You know, how books work. Then there's also the multi-book plot. Within the actions and decisions that Harry makes within that episodic plot, it impacts a storyline that runs across multiple books, usually centered around like a persistent antagonist. You've got like the War on the Red Court. You've got Harry becoming Winter Knight. You've got the Denarians, things like that. It weaves in and out of Harry's primary concern, and as other multi-book plots, move to the background. This is the background, this is the foreground, culminating over the course of multiple books. And then the third layer is the series plot, which is the full arc of the series that all of the books and multi-book plot lines are pushing forward. Harry's full journey that we get to follow, perhaps too closely to be considered healthy. In this new video series that I'm doing on the channel, we're going to take a look at how each of the novels that have been released so far and how they contribute to those 3 story arcs. And don't forget that you can get early access to all of them, along with the bonus content like my Behind the Mic series and shoutouts on the channel, and I'm adding more benefits as we go, particularly once there are people there to actually enjoy them, and it's only $3 a month. Patreon.com/belatedbinge. Let's start with the episodic plot, which is obviously the plot of this book. So, like any story, it has to begin somewhere, and the Dresden Files starts with Stormfront, released in 2000. This is the introductory book, so we obviously get a lot of backstory. We get a lot of setup weaved into the story, in which we learn that Harry Dresden is a private investigator who advertises himself in the phone book under Wizard. He lives in Chicago amongst normal people who don't believe in magic or the supernatural at all, and here he is just openly admitting that it exists. And that tells us something about the character right off the bat that we're going to be following. He's a little brash. He doesn't care much for following norms. He isn't trying to hide from anybody, despite the fact that he probably should be considering that in this book, as we learn that he's currently under wizard probation, known as the Doom of Damocles, which the penalty would be decapitation. In the story, he's hired by Chicago's Police Department's Special Investigations Unit that is specifically formed to deal with cases that don't pass the smell test for normal. Their leader, Karen Murphy, uses Harry as a consultant to help solve some of these cases, as they tend to involve something from the supernatural side of the fence. This case, it's a double murder, where 2 people had their hearts exploded from their chests while having sex by some just nasty black magic. Along the way to solving this case, Harry's confronted by John Marcone, who is the leader of Chicago's organized criminal element and has a stake in the murders, as one of them was one of his people. He has a wild first date with a woman named Susan, who's a reporter on the supernatural, who accidentally drinks a love potion that Harry was essentially forced to make by his lab assistant, the Spirit of Intellect, known as Bob the Skull, who's there to help him with his magic, but is also kind of a perv. She was supposed to be drinking a getaway potion before she could get brutally killed by a demon. It ends up with Harry running naked in the street before killing said demon. He discovers that the warlock, who is exploding people's hearts, is also manufacturing and distributing a new drug that mirrors supernatural sight, and is also who sent the demon after him. He's also the same man whose wife hired Harry to track him down in the beginning of the book. Along the way, he's accused by the warden of the White Council of Wizards, who is his supernatural parole officer, and arrested by Murphy for crimes being committed. He's just trying to solve them, and he keeps getting blamed by everyone around him for doing it himself. After saving himself and Murphy from an evil magic scorpion demon thing, he goes after the warlock, and he kills him in an epic battle that includes a burning house, bullets, ritual sex, giant scorpions, a loose demon, and a clever use of a broom. And while the book itself is an enjoyable read, I think, it doesn't have quite as clear impacts on the 3-layer story arcs as some in the series, but they're absolutely there right from the jump. The episodic plot is obviously what I just described: the case, the chaos, and the climax. The 3 C's, if you will. The multi-book plotline is a little bit blurry in that it doesn't have a super specific one that it's contributing to. Rather, it's contributing to multiple of them. To me, most notably, it's the very beginning of his relationship with Susan, who is at the core of the Red Court War. You can't start a war over a woman if you never met her or cared about her to begin with. It's also the beginning of his conflict with the White Council, potentially even the Black Council, as this is where we meet Morgan. We learn about Harry's standing as a wizard under the Doom of Damocles, some of what the affiliation with the Council means, and what he'll ultimately lose later in the series, sort of wrapping a multi-book plot of his status within the Council. And we also get the first mention of an outsider, he who walks behind, which is an ever-evolving threat that seems to be tied to the Black Council of Wizards in some sort or fashion. I guess it's not really Black Council of Wizards, it's just a Black Council that includes wizards and other, supernatural beings that are aligning themselves with outsiders to cause a lot of problems that Harry deals with throughout the series. So, yes, is it a super clear, this kicked off this thing and then it goes for books 2, 3, 4 and then it ends? No, not really, but there are some very, very clear jumping off points for some of the more important multi-book plot lines that exist within the series. And then for the series as a whole, it's obviously the introduction. We meet Harry and many of the characters who he's going to be closest allies with, friends with, lovers with, frenemies even. We start to learn how some of the magic works. We get some of the hierarchy. We get the good guys. We get the bad guys. And we learn who we're here to root for. And some of Harry's most important relationships began in this book. And that's the thing that I believe this series is truly built on. The supernatural lore, the cool battle scenes, the monsters, the fuego of it all it's fine. But I truly believe that the reason people obsess over these books on the internet and try to convince everyone they know to read them is because of the characters themselves. We're invested in them, in their relationships to each other, because we care. Fictional people they may be, they have captured our imagination, and it all starts with this first book, Stormfront. Now, my ask of you would be to comment below your favorite callback to book 1 of the series. And if you enjoyed this video at all, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel where I've already got a bunch of Dresden videos for you and a lot more coming.